Hello. Want to see. I'm just trying to make sure that all of my settings are correct here. Let me see. I think everything is good. If you can hear me, please someone let me know in the chat if you can hear me, because that has been my big thing is okay, good. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I have had so many technical difficulties this morning. It has been ridiculous. But thank you for your patience and thank you so much for coming to this first session. I'm super excited to lead this session and to talk about plant based beauty. It is a huge, huge topic that I think really needs to be addressed, especially in communities of color. It's something that kind of is just getting into our space, but we'll talk more about that in a second. So, again, my name is Victoria Smith. I am the owner of Make It Classy, which is a plant based beauty brand. So, in that way, we offer DIY kits, which offer kind of like a fun hands on experience. So, we get to, you get all of your ingredients like a dinner kit, and you get a recipe card, and you get to create whatever beauty product it is. So, we have that fun hands on experience. And then we also have the other side of the business, which is the ready-made products, is what I call it. And in that way, you get to buy products that are already created. So, like our hair conditioner is very, very popular. We have bath bombs, we have handmade soaps, we have so many different things. So, some of you may have gotten a chance to try the products and have gotten them in the VIP boxes, I believe, which were some bath bombs. Some of them were the hair conditioners. You had lip balms, a bunch of different things for you to try out. But yeah, so just a little bit about Make It Classy. You can find more about us at makeitclassydiy.com, where you can see the full line of products, and we have a bunch of new things coming out soon. But before we get started, one thing I wanted to ask you all, and I want to see if I can um, pull up. Well, we'll just do it in the chat. A poll. So, one thing I want to ask you before we get started on our chat about plant based beauty is how many beauty products do you use in one day? So, think about your lotions, think about your makeup, think about your hair care products, think about your skincare products, all of those things. And however many you use, I would love to know. Please drop them in the chat. This is something that I have, really tried to condense and be more aware of how many products I'm using, but more about, the quality of them. Um, what happens is we typically use a lot more products than we actually need. I'm seeing 6, 7 to 8. There are so many. Yes, I'm seeing about between 6 and 8 is what I'm normally seeing. So if you think about it, each of those products have a very long list of ingredients typically. So when it comes to figuring out like a conscious beauty routine, one thing you want to do is make sure that you're reading the ingredients on there. So there is a group called the Environmental Working Group, and they have a study that says the average woman uses 12 products per day, 12 beauty products per day. And if you're using that many, you have the chance of exposing yourself to over 200 different chemicals. Now, all of those may not be, harmful chemicals because we need chemicals to make beauty products, but exposing yourself to so many different fillers and things that aren't good for your skin and aren't good for your hair. There is also another study that says women, this is more recently, women on average are using like 16 products on their face daily. We're thinking about cleansers, primers, makeup, and makeup individually. So we're talking about lip care, we're talking about eye makeup, all of those things. So it's very, very important for you to not only try to think about what you are using in your beauty care products, but also thinking about the ingredients and what those look like. There has been, over the past couple of years, especially in women, a rise in the amount of cancer cases, and a huge one is infertility. And a lot of these just can't be linked to genetics. There has to be something that we're doing in our everyday lives that is impacting this. If you think about how like the baby powder brand, which I won't bring up, but there was a huge lawsuit because women, as we get older, you use things that maybe your family has used over time. And so if your family says, hey, use this baby powder in your underwear or something that you just grew up using, you do it. And over time, we're constantly using these products and we're not questioning whether they're safe or good for us, but we're just using them. And that's exactly what happened in that case where, there was a class action lawsuit with this baby powder brand because it's talcum powder and it's a lot of different things in there that are just not good for your body in general. So it's more about taking care and taking control of your routine and figuring out kind of what works best for you. You'll find a lot of different terrible ingredients. There's a full long list. We have a few of them on our website on the homepage, but formaldehyde is a huge, huge, huge one. Formaldehyde can be found in a lot of hair care products, nail polishes, body soaps. It's in everything. It's in laundry detergent. It's in everything. It's ridiculous. So formaldehyde is terrible. You'll also find coal tar and like hair dyes. So there are all these things that, are being marketed to us as women to say, hey, we need to color our hair. Hey, we need to do this and do that. But we're not talking about the ingredients that are in these products. And unfortunately, Black women as a group are exposed to these chemicals even more because we are, certain products are marketed toward us that have these different chemicals, like hair relaxers. We're going to talk about those in a little bit soon, but hair relaxers, skin lighteners, which I do not recommend for anyone. That is not what we do. But skin lighteners, things like that, those have terrible ingredients. And when we think about if being marketed toward a certain group, it's like, are they thinking about us? Like, and obviously we may not question it. We may just say, oh, let's go ahead and, use this thing without thinking really what's in it. So what I really propose that you do is to really take the time to figure out, what's in your product and to take that time. So that's my little spiel there with the poll. But I want to take you back to a little bit of my journey and how I got on this plant-based beauty kick. So 2009, I'm sitting in my room and I was obsessed with YouTube at the time. I would sit there and watch YouTube for hours and hours and hours. It was ridiculous. And I was watching this one girl at the time. I had a hair relaxer. My hair is now natural and it has been natural for the past like decade or so. But then I still had a relaxer and I was watching this girl on YouTube do her hair. And she was using these certain line of products. And this is like right kind of when YouTube kind of started kicking off. And I would watch her. She had like bouncy hair, it was flowing. It was like exactly what I wanted my hair to be. But along the side of YouTube, it has suggested videos. There was all of these women that had these beautiful hair textures. They were curly, they were big. And so I just started watching their videos, trying to figure out like, oh, I want the look because initially I was like, this is awesome. It looks really good. But then I really started to dig into, what was causing them to go natural. And a lot of people were saying like health concerns, or maybe they had a child recently, or there could be so many different things. And that's when I really started to dig into the harmful ingredients that are in just hair relaxers in general. So, if for context here, your scalp and your hair and your skin too, you have a certain pH balance that you want to on the scale that you want to aim for. So for your scalp, you're going to say anywhere between like a 5 and like a 7 for on the pH scale for your scalp to be healthy and for it to thrive. Well, hair relaxers, once I started digging into it, because I was getting hair relaxers at the time, they are off the charts. A hair relaxer is like a 14, 15, 16 on the pH scale. And so when that comes into contact with not only, that's why it burns, that's why it's like uncomfortable. When you pair that with all of your other hair care products, like your shampoos, your conditioners that all have different other pH balances, it just completely throws everything off. So when people are complaining about scalp conditions and dry scalp and so many other things, you started off with that product that, had a pH balance that was off the charts. And then we talked about too, harmful ingredient, talk about coal tar that's found in a lot of hair dyes. Well, for relaxers, you'll find like the same ingredient that's used in drain cleaner is also in hair relaxers. How do you figure out your hair's pH level? I'm going to come back to that one. That's a really, really good question. And I'm on like short time here, y'all. I got a lot to get through. But um, so it can cause so many different issues there. So for me, it was more of a health concern. I wanted to make sure that I was doing something that went well. You know, when you know better, you do better. And so I knew better that that was not what I wanted to do anymore, even though, you know, my mom at the time, my grandmother, everyone else had hair relaxers. I was the first one to kind of go off on my own island and say, hey, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I got a lot of little, you know, side comments and things about it. But today, you know, 10, 11 years later, it's all good. So into that, I created a blog that was a very small blog at the time. I considered myself like a little closet writer. The website is classycurlies.com. And I have like a other social media pages that go along with that. But during that time, I was able to document my hair journey, and I was able to show, things that I was going through, styles I was trying. I was new to it. I was trying a bunch of different products, all of those things. I hosted events and DIY classes, so many things that happened over the past 10 years of developing that brand. And I've gotten to do some awesome partnerships. But that then rolled into carrying on and caring about more of the education part and educating women specifically about ingredients. So I would host these DIY classes here in Indianapolis. And I would say that I would bring all of the ingredients and we would mix our own shampoo or our own face mask. But I had a lot of women that said, hey, I love this idea of the DIY. I can maybe do it by myself at home or I get my friends together and we have a good time. But I want to do this without you being here. You can't be at my house and tell me what to mix with what. So that's how our DIY kits became a thing. I was trying to think about how can I get this experience for people, how can I have this experience at home instead of me just leading these classes all the time? So again, we came up with our DIY kit, and so now you get to do all of that. But really, the brand, although the brand, markets to women of all shades and all colors, it's really about the education piece of all of this and helping them learn the ingredients. Because I'm not going to just try to sell you a product and say, "Hey, buy this face mask." It's about learning what your issue is, how the product can line up with that, and then how to use it. It's more of the education part of it. So that's how Make It Classy really got started off of my, it's a spinoff of classycurlies.com and just in general how that worked. But a couple of things I wanted to leave with you. So things I wanted to share. One, we already talked about how Black women are exposed to more of these chemicals. And so we have to be extra vigilant when it comes to looking at what products we're using every day. Our community already has a lot of other issues when it comes to health, Black maternal health, like I think is going to be talked about at some other point, issues in the workplace that can cause stress. Like there's so many different issues that our community already has going on. But this is one too that you can actively control just by keeping an eye on the ingredients that you are using and investing in these plant-based beauty brands that are trying to offer you that. So other things I wanted to kind of shine light about this industry is that you would think that the beauty industry is ruled by women because we are the primary market. Not to say that men don't have their own products. There's a lot of beard oils now and skincare lines specifically for men. There's so many different things. However, women are, obviously the biggest consumer group there. But when it comes to upper level management, we're talking CEOs, the amount of CEOs that are women in the beauty industry is very, very sad. Um, there are a lot of women who are running the show behind the scenes, but as far as being the face, being the CEO, being the president of these big brands, we're thinking like Sally Beauty, we're thinking like Mary Kay, there are Estee Lauder. There are a lot of big beauty brands that people assume have women behind them, but they don't. They actually have rich white men. So I have a stat here that I wrote and I wanted to share with you, make sure I got it right. So there was a study done of 100 beauty brands. And of those beauty brands, only 10 of them were ran by female CEOs. That is an issue because if the biggest consumer group is women, they ought to have women in the C suite to talk about why things are important. We have a different perspective. There was also another study, and this is out of the Fortune 500 companies, and only 4.8% of those companies had women as CEOs. So that's an issue, like when we talk about disparities, when we talk about equality, that's an issue because again, if we are the biggest group that is consuming all of these things, we need to be the women in charge that has that perspective and can share that and think a different mindset when it comes to things. So as a Black woman who owns a beauty brand, to me, it's very important to be in control of my brand from all aspects of it to, marketing, communications to packaging. I'm a huge like nerd when it comes to packaging and what something looks like. So many different things there. But that's just something I wanted to throw out to you all. Also, speaking of packaging, one thing I want you to take away from this again, the education piece is so important. So, what I learned during this time of developing a brand and managing a brand is that the label of your beauty products mean nothing. The front label, the front part is what's important. The front part means nothing. They can make it green so it looks plant based. They can say all natural. They can say organic. They can say made with whatever they can put whatever they want on the purpose of the front of the label is to catch your eye. So when you're at the store and you see a product, you say, oh my gosh, this is my favorite color, I'm going to buy it just because of that. Or you may say, oh, it says all natural, it says organic, so let me go ahead and buy it because it says that. Or maybe you're looking for a specific ingredient. You may see that you've been hearing about shea butter and you want a hair product with shea butter. So if you go to the store and you see a brand that says with shea butter, then you're probably going to get it. That's not important. Please do not get caught up in the labeling the front of these products. What matters is the back. Before you buy anything, whether it's online or in the store, please read the ingredient list. And if it is online and that company does not share the ingredient list with you, that is a sign, that's a red flag for you to probably get out of there. It's like legally you have to share what's in your beauty products. But even more of that, people don't understand how to read a label. So if the front of the bottle says shea butter, and you turn the back of it and you see shea butter, but shea butter is at the very bottom of the list, that means that they put like a little drop in there just to say it's shea butter. So the ingredients they're listed in order of concentration. So the ingredients at the very beginning of the ingredient list, that is what your product is made of mostly. And so if you see the ingredient that you are looking for and it is at the very bottom of the list, chances are they put a little drop in there and that's it. There's nothing else in there besides that and all the other ingredients. So usually they'll fill it with things like water, mineral oil, like things that aren't good, that aren't really going to benefit your body or your hair, skin, whatever it is, because those items are very cheap to get, water, not to say water's free, but if you're making products, obviously you have to buy water. Mineral oil, very, very cheap. So you want to get rid of those filler ingredients like that, and you want to replace them with plant-based ones. And when I say plant-based, I'm talking about ingredients like aloe vera. We're talking about plant-based oils, maybe a jojoba oil, maybe olive oil. We're talking about butter, so shea butter, mango butter, there's avocado butters. There's so many different things like that. So you want to get rid of as much of that and replace it with those type of ingredients. I always tell women to read the first 5 ingredients that will make up most of the product. Keep an eye on that, but also if you see a product with an ingredient list that is like this long, don't get it. Don't even bother with it. So that's something that I, wanted to share with you. Um, Next, I want to share with you the fact that very simple input, simpler routines are better. You don't need an 11-step skincare, routine. You don't need someone who's going to try to sell you 16, beauty products in a set and say, okay, you need this cleanser, toner, primer, and all these other things to get beautiful skin. You don't need that. For myself, I have like a facial cleanser. I do face mask a few times a week, and I have a moisturizer. That's basically it. That's like 3, maybe 4 things that I'm using a week. I'm not using all of those things every single day. Like I said, the simpler your routine, the simpler the ingredients, the better. You do not need all of these things. And I think it's a marketing tactic where they try to say, oh, you need all of these things in order to have X, whatever it is. But please don't let someone push you into that. The simpler, the better. Lastly on my list is the green beauty industry in general. So you may hear plant-based beauty, you may hear green beauty. So the term green beauty is very, I would say, newer to the mainstream market. However, it's not necessarily, the term is new to communities of color, but when you think about it, we've been doing these things all along. So you always think about someone who has the grandmother who has all of the remedies. You go to her. I have a friend who was just telling me about something with her eye the other day. And she went to her grandmother and was like, what do I do to get rid of this on my eye? And she's like, do this, this, and this. And they're all things you can find in your house, a warm cloth. We're talking about all these just home remedies that have been passed down for generations. And so we've been doing this clean and green beauty thing for a while. It's just now it has a name, and it has a name for, what people are doing. And it's starting to get more mainstream. And it's a little worrying to me. Part of me is good because the big beauty brands are starting to understand that plant-based ingredients are great. However, what bothers me about that is that it feels like they're trying to jump on the bandwagon and their ingredients may not actually be plant-based. So you can have plant-based ingredients and you can have ingredients that are synthetic that mimic plant-based ingredients. So there's so many different levels to what clean beauty or plant-based beauty can be. There's so many different things there. So it's a pro and con. Again, they're getting people more exposed to plant-based beauty brands, but also I don't know. I don't know if they're doing it correctly or if their heart is in the right place when they're talking about it. So, but it's also a responsibility on myself and other beauty makers and creators to make sure that we are leading in the right way, especially when it comes to exposing our own communities to plant-based beauty and sustainable beauty, because they're our community is just now starting to understand the clean beauty term. And I love seeing other women, their skincare brands and their hair care brands with all of these wonderful ingredients. It really just makes me so excited that we are finally getting into this space and we're playing absolutely with the big dogs up there and saying, like, our small indie brands that start out small, they're growing and people are buying warehouses, and it's just a wonderful feeling to be a part of it. But again, it is that responsibility to make sure that we are doing. So that's my little spiel. Lastly, I want to leave you with just some things of why I think you should, think about a clean beauty routine. More of the health part. So again, think about, as people get older, different cancers, infertility, so many skin conditions, hair and scalp conditions. Think about that and how plant-based ingredients can benefit you. A lot of times you can get better results when you're actually using real ingredients and not, synthetic ingredients that are super mass produced and they don't get that extra love and attention that you would get. And then lastly, make sure that you are looking over your beauty routine in general and thinking about simple practices and simple things that you can do. Maybe I don't need, 6,000 face washes, but maybe I'm going to condense that to one a week. So just really, really thinking about all of that. So I thank you for your time. I know this is the very first session, and I hope that you all have a blast here. If you have any other questions or anything, you can always email me. I'm going to type my email address in here. One second. You can always email me. Please visit the site. It's makeitclassydiy.com. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Soak up all of this knowledge today because there are some wonderful women leading sessions that you are going to walk away like just mind blown, just things that you never thought about, perspective changing, so many things. So thank you. I appreciate you. Also, Make It Classy is on Instagram. I forgot to tell you that. It's Make It Classy _ is where you can follow the account. So I appreciate you and thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend.